Bit of an impromptu video this week. I'm not in Tranmere, but wanted to release a video off the back of our Plan B rant that we had on the last vlog. Got quite a few comments and interactions, so I think we need to address it. So, is it really as bad as what we're making it out to be? Currently, we're sitting 6th, so in playoff positions. We've had a pretty impressive start to the season, but as of late, we've been a bit shaky, having been comprehensively beaten several times and found wanting on more than one occasion when the going gets tough. There's a growing sense of unease in the fan base, but is that down to expectation, or is there something more troubling that's in clear sight? Are we simply making a mountain out of a molehill? Questions are being asked about Plan B, breaking down, stubborn teams. Have we plateaued, or even worse, have we actually been found out? So what's really going wrong, and is it as bad as it feels? We'll attempt to break it down in 3 sections. So what the data tells us. The data tells us a different story than the mood in the stands. Chesterfield are still near the top, got one of the highest possession averages in the league. Our expected goals XG often outmatches our opponents on paper. We're doing the right things, but football isn't played on spreadsheets. What the numbers say and what our eyes are telling us don't always align, because even with the high XG, we're not finishing teams. We're not finishing chances when it matters. Possession looks good, but it's too often it's slow and sideways. It's why the fans leave the ground thinking we should have had them, but never really look like scoring, and they're not wrong. You're looking at the XG charts and it tells you one thing: Chesterfield are creating chances more than most teams in the league. But here's the problem: XG doesn't measure chemistry, it doesn't measure timing, cohesion, or how well 11 individuals actually function together. Paul Cook said it more than once: we've got a good group of players, but we're not a good team yet. And that's the truth that XGs normally mask. We're obviously carving out decent chances, sure, but they're coming in moments, not waves. The passing lanes still feel unfamiliar. The link-up plays a step off, and movement isn't always instinctive. This isn't a crisis, but it's a clear sign that these good players need to become a good team. We'll keep on seeing this kind of performance where the stats show one thing and the scoreboard says another. So in effect, the players are still learning from one another, which is fine, but when chemistry is a work in progress, what is our actual plan B when things aren't going to go our way? As a whole, when teams park the bus and overload us in the middle of the park, our slow transitions playing out from the back, sideways play, it's frustrating to watch for the fan base, especially when we want it to be quicker and more direct. Against well-drilled defences, our team sitting back playing variations of the 3-5-2, the same patterns emerge and we start to look predictable. When we can't play through them, we seem to lack width and belief. The press becomes disjointed and subs often feel like for like instead of a tactical rethink. So how do we actually change this, especially when the manager rarely does? Paul Cook has a clear defining way of playing football. That's never been in doubt, but when teams figure us out, and they have, we keep going with the same tools: possession, wide overloads, and hope that the system eventually wears them down. But hope isn't a tactic, and time matters more than each passing week. Repeating the same drills, the same shape, the same timings, it's not a solution when the opposition has already worked out our patterns of play. So if we don't change the system, we need to change the way we use it. That means quicker tempo when teams sit back, earlier subs when games start to drift, and different personnel to ask different questions. Why not overload centrally when wide play isn't working? Why not go 2 at the top when we're chasing a result? Why not start tweaking before the 80th minute? Because until we show that we can adapt in the game and not just try and dominate position from the kickoff, we'll just keep dropping points in the same frustrating way. And the truth is, you can't play the same way every week and expect different results. If we want to turn these draws into wins and these games we could have won into ones we have won, then the way we manage matches has to evolve. If the tactics won't change, the mindset has to, because, and these are the points: repetition without adaptation isn't an identity, it's limitation. If we don't change our shape, we have to change our intention. And promotion doesn't come from possession, it comes from problem solving. So, what's our problem with teams that play 3-5-2? So, a bit of a contradiction to my previous rant. Turns out we've actually beaten 4 out of the 9 teams that play 5 at the back. But having looked into the matches, there's something quite simple that's in clear sight. When we win versus 5 at the back, 3-5-2 shapes, often when the opponent doesn't fully implement the sit deep, ultra defensive plan, and we're still able to impose our game. When we lose or draw, the opponent does implement the shape and accompaniment tactics, press, counter move, deny overloads, block the midfield. We appear less able to break down intentional back 5 systems than incidental ones. So what we know for sure is that there's no exact science as to why we struggle in certain variations. There are no clear patterns in terms of team selection or anything like that. How do we go about fixing it? Firstly, tempo is everything. When we move the ball quickly, 3-5-2s can't shift across in time. But when we slow it down, they set and we struggle. Second, we need runners beyond the striker. The 4-2-3-1 can suffocate against a deep block if there's no number 10 and wingers don't make inside runs. And third, mid-game tweaks matter. That means pulling a number 10 wider to drag a centre-back out, or tucking a winger in to create an overload centrally. We don't need to abandon the 4-2-3-1, but we need to make it more flexible, because when it works, but right now, only works sometimes. And if we want to go up, we need to work every week, not just every other one. To cap this vlog off, does the data tell the whole story? Do we have a plan B? And is our situation as bad as what we're making it? Well, the data does tell a story, but not a whole one, and it's incomplete. Our plan B is lacking, but persistence more than ever is key to making our plan B, is making sure plan A is implemented and that the results will follow. And finally, is our situation as bad as we make out? I suppose it all comes down to individual perception from whoever watches the team week in, week out. Expectations high, and we should be higher. And if we're to believe the XGs and stats matter as much as the results do, at the end of the day, as long as we're better than the previous week, we will be 100% in the mix come May. I have no doubt.